In the course of many years, we've heard from numerous Julius Jones supporters. We've also interviewed his family members multiple times, but we have never heard from Paul Howell's family. For 22 years, they denied every request for an interview, and those requests came from news organizations around the world. Last week, they finally decided to break their silence, to fight what they say are outright lies about the case. I sat down exclusively with 7 members of the Howell family.
Growing up without a dad is difficult. There's a lot of moments in life that you experience as a daughter that you want your dad to be there for. My sister got married a few years ago. Luckily, my uncles got to walk her down the aisle, both of them, which was beautiful, but I couldn't help but thinking of him the whole time. Graduating high school, going to college, all those big moments, I wish he was there for those. It's been really hard.
For the past 3 years, that painful absence has been coupled with a new agony.
It's sad to me. It makes me angry.
This family has watched as support for Julius Jones has grown. For them, it's like salt in a wound that will never truly heal. On the night of July 28, 1999, Paul Howell was gunned down in this driveway. In the middle of a divorce, he was living with his parents and leaning on his family for support. They were helping him care for his 2 little girls, Rachel 9 and Abby 7. He and his sister Megan had taken the girls shopping for school supplies and then to get ice cream. Prosecutors say they were followed home that night by Julius Jones and Christopher Jordan, who'd been driving around looking for a Suburban to steal. Paul, Megan, and the girls were at the wrong place at the wrong time.
When we pulled up in the driveway and stopped, and I looked over and saw Julius Jones walking up to the car. He shot my dad, and I watched my dad's head go like that. And that is the vision that I have every night, is my dad's head falling to the right.
Since 2002, Julius Jones has been on death row for the murder of Paul Howell. 3 years ago, a television documentary called The Last Defense highlighted Jones's case, suggesting the trial was tainted and the wrong man had been convicted. Soon, a Justice for Julius crusade was launched with money and celebrity backing. The Howell family found it overwhelming.
This is David versus Goliath. We don't have the resources, we don't have the PR firm, we don't have the Hollywood backing, but we have the truth, and we're sitting here willing to talk about it.
A group called Represent Justice has poured money into the fight to free Julius Jones. And last year, a board member for that organization invited Kim Kardashian to visit Jones in prison.
You look at these celebrities and people that are out there, they've been spoon-fed the exact same story, and they don't even bother to go check the facts themselves. Every one of them hits the same points that are the same lies.
They weren't at the trial. They have never read the trial transcripts. They never read the transcripts of the evidentiary hearings or the appeals, but yet they believe the Facebook and the Twitter lawyers and proponents that are putting out all these lies and information.
The Howell family believes the funding and the celebrity backing are part of a much bigger campaign.
For whatever the agenda is outside, maybe it's to make a movie, to write a book at the end. I don't know. It could be any of those things. But they've taken the truth and justice and totally eliminated that and taken it out of the equation.
And the equation, they say, boils down to simple facts. Facts of the case they've listed on this website, justiceforpaulhowell.com. Their attempt to battle misinformation.
I always like to say the most consistent thing about his alibi is how inconsistent it is.
Jones and his family claim he was at his parents' house at the time of the murder.
His girlfriend testified that he was on the south side of Oklahoma City during the time of the murder. Later, in an appeal, this is when this story of him being at home with his family developed. The problem is during the trial, he had repeatedly admitted to both of his trial attorneys that his family was mistaken and he was not at home that night, and they were talking about the previous night before.
And that's not the only testimony about his whereabouts that night.
2 uninvolved eyewitnesses testified at trial that they saw Julius Jones with a Suburban the night of the murder.
There are claims that Jones did not have the opportunity to testify himself. Trial transcripts say otherwise. Jones repeatedly declined to testify in his own defense.
Julius Jones has also had every opportunity to testify.
The family also contests the claims that Jones was a football player at the University of Oklahoma. In reality, he was never on any OU athletic team. Some of his supporters also say he was a promising college student. However, OU actually denied him financial aid after he failed his first semester with a .8 GPA. Jones never finished his second semester. Then there's that infamous red bandana. Megan was the only eyewitness who saw it to testify at trial.
He had a black stocking cap, a red bandana, a white t-shirt, and jeans.
A red bandana was found in Jones's home, wrapped around a gun that ballistics verified as the murder weapon. DNA testing on the bandana did not exonerate Jones. Instead, it showed the probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual with the same DNA profile is about 1 in 110 million within the African American population. Christopher Jordan's DNA was not found. Meanwhile, Jones's supporters want him exonerated, and that's what scares the Howell family most.
I'm petrified. I cannot go outside at night. I haven't done it for 22 years.
Jones does have a violent background. On at least 3 separate occasions, he'd stolen property at gunpoint and even pleaded guilty to a robbery with a firearm just 6 days before Howell's murder. Additionally, prison photos show Jones now has gang-affiliated tattoos.
Active gang member, turned back out on the streets because of some socio-political agenda.
Law enforcement says Jones has been caught sending letters threatening to kill other people.
Well, I suffered from PTSD after the incident. I couldn't go into public places for a few years and had extreme panic attacks. I still get scared.
Paul Howell's parents outlived him, haunted by the image of their son slipping away.
Seeing my parents huddled over my brother's body and my mother saying, "Please be alive, please be alive." They never got over that night. They were never happy again. And they died without ever seeing justice for their son.
After 2 years, is there any relief tonight?
Not really. None of this will bring our son back.
So when this all started blowing up in the media and celebrities and The Last Defense, yeah, I had to sit there and be like, okay, so did he do it? And I needed to form an opinion for myself. And so I dug into everything because I wanted to know and make sure I knew all the details so I could form an opinion for myself. I mean, this is my life. This is my trauma. Yeah, I mean, he's guilty.
Earlier in this newscast, you heard about the Pardon and Parole Board's recommendation to change Jones's sentence from the death penalty to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Prior to today, 13 appellate judges had already reviewed Jones's case. Even the Supreme Court had turned down 4 opportunities to review it.